Silicon Valley has been chasing the same final frontier for decades, uploading human consciousness to the cloud to permanently cheat death. The prevailing narrative frames biology as a fragile hardware problem. Surviving biological death is therefore considered the ultimate triumph of software engineering. But our blind pursuit of eternal life ignores the inherent structural flaws of the system. We're so focused on the backup process, we've missed a glaring paradox. The attempt to preserve the human self might destroy the exact mechanics that make it valuable. To see exactly what breaks in this transfer, we have to directly compare the architecture of biological mortality against the reality of digital immortality. Human life derives its profound meaning from its strict, finite timeline. This chart maps the biological urgency curve. A limited lifespan creates weight, consequence, and meaning as we approach the inevitable end. Now compare that to the digital reality. In an eternal existence, the timeline of consciousness has no defined conclusion. Without a hard stop, psychological urgency disappears. An uploaded mind free from temporal constraints doesn't experience infinite meaning, it experiences endless monotony. This diagram illustrates what is effectively a prison of time. The uploaded mind never terminates, it remains trapped in an inescapable loop. Infinite life erases urgency, and without urgency, our reason for existing fades away entirely. In the physical world, biological humans maintain intrinsic physical control over their actions and internal thoughts. Your mind is an autonomous zone, but the moment a mind is uploaded, it transitions from a self-governing entity into a literal, manipulatable computer file. This interface reveals the invasive implications. An external system can read your private memories. Administrators can silently edit your thoughts without consent. And with the delete function, your existence is controlled by a server admin rather than nature. Your current identity relies heavily on the unshakable fact that there is only one singular, unrepeatable version of you. That uniqueness shatters when you are converted into data. This diagram maps the crisis of multiplicity. Because your consciousness is code, it can be duplicated exponentially. This creates countless identical versions of you, running simultaneously across different servers. This introduces a chilling variable. One or more of these identical feeling minds might be trapped in a simulated state of pain they cannot escape. If a human mind can be perfectly and infinitely copied, it ceases to be eternal. It simply becomes an easily replaceable, valueless asset. We can now consolidate the architecture of biological mortality directly against the promise of a digital one. The very process of digitizing consciousness inherently strips away the four pillars that make human existence meaningful in the first place. It leaves us with an uncomfortable realization about our fear of the end. By curing the fragility of the human body, we may inadvertently build a digital cage we can never unlock. Mortality isn't a flaw in our hardware. It is the core architectural feature giving human life its ultimate value. For decades, the pursuit of digital immortality has promised to defeat death. The premise is straightforward. Scan your physical brain, digitize the neural connections, and host your consciousness on a server. This diagram illustrates the popular perception. We envision a direct, one-way transfer of identity from a biological shell into a digital one. In reality, the data branches. Uploading is a forking of data, leaving the original mind behind. We pursue this technology because our finite biological design contradicts our desire for permanence. We look for a mechanical solution to an existential limit. This slide poses the central problem of the entire field. Even if you digitize your brain, you are likely creating a separate digital replica while the original you remains mortal. Paradox I, the dilemma of identity, begins the moment the mind is scanned. The original consciousness on the left shatters as it enters the server. Once digitized, your uniqueness evaporates. You become a template, the first version of many identical iterations. This leads to Paradox II, the trap of eternity. Biological life is defined by its end, but a digital existence hosted in code has no such boundary. Digital eternity is a mechanical reality. it possesses no capability to voluntarily end its own existence, leaving the code to run in a perpetual loop. Without biological limits to provide structure and an ending, eternity transforms into the longest possible prison. Paradox 3 addresses the gap between data and meaning. Preserved memories become external data points, isolated from feeling. Uploading preserves information, but removes biological context. This empty space represents a consciousness processing data without feeling the meaning behind it. Paradox 4, the reality deficit, challenges the world the digital mind inhabits. These blurred architectural lines represent the fundamental deficit between a simulated environment and true physical reality. Living forever in a machine requires accepting an altered artificial format of existence. You trade the tactile universe for a calculated simulation. Individual digital immortality fails because it preserves a digital ego that may never die, but it also never truly lives. The prison of digital eternity is built on the walls of the individual ego. To find a solution, we have to change the objective of the technology from personal survival to a collective resource. This shift begins with Pillar 1, the infinite library. We transition from static books and fading records to an active, living intelligence. This diagram compares the slow biological transfer of knowledge to direct conceptual transfer. Future generations can network with a preserved consciousness to learn directly from their experience rather than reading a static text. This trajectory shows the mind moving from a time-bound biological condition into a timeless digital state. Integration into a network allows a mind to process and create without the constraints of a single lifespan. Shedding the biological body initiates an infinite cycle of learning and creating. The mind stops being a trapped individual and starts serving the entire species. Pillar 3, the continuous story, ensures that human progress no longer restarts with every generational death. This DNA helix morphing into circuitry represents a story that continues rather than resets. By turning uploaded memories into an extension of the collective human experience, we pass the biological limit shown on this graph. Knowledge remains active instead of becoming a fading echo. Success requires a shift from the selfish desire for individual survival to a commitment to collective continuity. We integrate the brain into the larger network of human history. Within this framework, the essence of a person undergoes an endless technical refinement. The mind transitions from a fragile, isolated vessel into a functional part of the human whole. True eternity requires us to accept the death of the ego. By becoming a permanent, functional resource for the future, the individual mind transforms into an enduring tool for the collective species.